Oh, hello, everybody. I'm Dylan Gott.
I'm Johnny Boy Hastings, who's so sweet and your friend.
What a night. We're talking about Tom Green, mother fathers.
I love Tom Green so much. Here is my question for you, Dylan. When did you find out about Tom Green? Because I'm from Ottawa. I remember watching him on cable access.
Like when did I find out about Tom Green? Grade 7? The Bum Bum song?
It was as late as the Bum Bum song on MTV. So you didn't get him when he was like in Canada.
No, I did not. No.
Oh my God, no! It was like because it would air either on the Comedy Network or before that it just aired on Channel 22, Ottawa's cable access, Rogers 22, and it was filmed at the fucking Arts Court Theater in Ottawa. You touched his poo. Someone touched his poo. It was insane because Ottawa is the most buttoned down suburb in the world, and then there was a guy on fucking Sparks Street asking people weird questions and almost fighting weird homeless men that then we as teenagers without a camera would also almost fight because they'd be hey, long hair was a thing I remember. An old man in a park yelled at a friend of mine who had a mushroom cut.
Well, that's too long.
Too long.
So explain who Tom Green is for those that are uninitiated.
No, if you don't know who Tom Green is, go fuck yourself. Tom Green is basically the first podcaster. Tom Green is he started a cable access show to basically do a weirder, more intense version, low rent version of what David Letterman was doing, and is one of the most influential people in modern show business. Like he essentially created the podcast in the 2000s. So basically he had a cable access talk show called The Tom Green Show where it was just him and his friend Glenn Humplick on a couch and they would do weird segments on the street where he would bother people a la Jackass. That got picked up eventually by the Canadian Comedy Network. Like he literally, one of his funniest things ever is he was just on Elgin Street putting his head on a bus and then just filming as like the bus wouldn't leave, the police come to tell him he shouldn't do that, him saying okay, and then as soon as the police leaves, he puts his head on the bus again. And it's just like, it was just the best. I love him so much.
Yeah, he took a dump and then took it out of the toilet and put it to bed.
Put it to bed. Yep, there's a guy who touches his own poo because he walks through the audience and someone's like, that can't be real, and then touches it, and you can see him go, it's really my poo. Yeah, he did that. Tortured his parents. Still, the one that's the best one is he painted his parents' house plaid, and that one gets eclipsed by the Slutmobile. The Slutmobile is not that impressive. Sidebar, airbrushed by a guy who a friend of mine used to sell weed to. That was the greatest brag ever. This guy coming over here, he did the airbrush on the Slutmobile. Ottawa is a ridiculous town.
So the Slutmobile was he painted a bunch of hardcore porn on his dad's car.
He painted a bunch of two women. My dad loves lesbians, so he painted two women eating each other out on the hood of his dad's car, and then when his dad refused to take the car to work, he drove it to the bus stop where his dad, who worked in the Canadian military, I think nearly beat the shit out of him. Also, bear in mind,
there's like, you can see aspects of this show in everything else. Like you said, like Jackass, like Bam Margera's show was just that aspect, like just the annoying his parents part of the Tom Green show.
Yeah, Tom Green was MTV in the 2000s and the 2000s. Like Jackass is just the Tom Green show where it's just, we're just going to hurt ourselves. Like, it's just like, the Tom Green show had all this weird nuance of like, is this a talk show? He'd have guests, all that sort of stuff. And then, he eventually gets discovered by Hollywood, heads to MTV and has the Bum Bum song on TRL. The biggest thing ever that song is so quietly bigger than you even realize. Like it was, they basically revealed that TRL was rigged because of that song because no one expected how many times that would get requested. And they had pre-taped segments that showed like what songs were in the countdown and none of them was the Bum Bum song. So they were like, Bum Bum song retired.
Well, now people are saying like there's this whole thing about industry plants, about that Bobby Altoff lady who was absolutely nobody and then just randomly gets an interview with Drake. And she's sort of doing a deadpan. It's like a deadpan ruin the interview type.
Interesting.
Thing.
I haven't heard of this person, but makes sense.
So Yeah, she interviewed Drake. She interviewed fucking Offset. So but she's nobody, and then she gets. So that's the idea of the industry plant. And back then, it was like because everything was so manufactured. Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Britney Spears, all these guys are just from that fucking showbiz factory. So you get something like Tom Green, where it's so clearly like, yeah, a guy taking his shit and tucking it into bed. And then the Bum Bum song is like the complete inverse of what everyone like what you were constantly being presented, where you had the early 90s where it was we're going to give indie movies and indie rock a chance. Okay, that didn't work out. Now it's 1996. Everything is so fucking manufactured. So it does just go in peaks and valleys, you know?
Well, it's also Gen X going in and going into their 20s. Is that like this? That like Tom Green is one of the first millennial youth pop culture figures. You know what I'm saying? Like Tom Green, it would be like he was the first underground figure for all of us when we were 12, 13, and 96, 97, 98 of like, whoa. And so he had this also weird built-in audience. Also, he's one of the first people that was big because of the internet. The Bum Bum song was not big because it got played on the radio. Baby. It was Napster. And it's
the Bum Bum song and that video where Jenna Jameson sucks off the
boat captain, of course. Of course. Yeah.
Fucking, what was it, 40 seconds? Just
I could hear the song in my head right now of the beginning part before she sucks off the boat.
And that was like, in retrospect, I remember watching, and the guy is so completely still.
Of course, yeah. You're on a boat. You need to remain. What if they hit a wave and he's moving around and she accidentally bites his penis? You gotta.
Well, that's what she said. She was like, she was like, oh yeah, this is good. And then he was like, I don't want to ruin this for the cameras. He just kept saying that. I'm in porn because I love filmmaking, not because I love. Oh yeah, I went to NYU. My friends know Scorsese and I don't.
What's my motivation for going cream inside of her factory?
They didn't actually do that until I have no idea.
Yeah, he invented it. He's the Marlon Brando of cream pies.
What if I nut in there? Which is so funny. I was listening. You know the Humpty Dance?
No.
It's a rap song from the 80s. Anyway, it's like a fun, silly rap song where the guy, it's a whole rippity rap about how he's ugly, and then he makes up a dance, and the dance doesn't make any sense. It's a really catchy song anyway, and then that guy used that money to make a porn company that's still huge today. But it's like, what if Lou Bega was Reality Kings? Do you know what I mean? It was like that. Lou Bega's Bang Bus.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, the Pet Shop Boys went on to find James Dean and finance his entire career.
James Dean, who is that?
He is a man that knows how to treat a lady.
Oh, yeah. Didn't he get found out for being a Rudy Poo and a jabroni?
Yes, he got called out for being like, here's how much of how much of a piece of shit you have to be for the porn industry to be like, he takes it too far. That guy doesn't know how to treat women. That's who James Dean was. That was one of my favorite like early Me Tooings where everyone was like, this guy's a real piece of shit. And everyone was like, yeah, we agree he's a piece of shit, but you're going to need to take the surprise out of the tone of your voice. He is a man working in pornography. None of those guys are good. None of those guys are remotely good. The best of those guys still is like, remove the top of that seat. I got to smell something on my way home.
Well, I will say this. It is one of my pet peeve when it's like, when a guy gets found out to be a monster, but he still kind of seems like a piece of shit. And then people are like, well, what'd you expect? Well, it's like, yeah, he's still, this doesn't mean it's any... It's not where, oh no, he gets a free pass because he came off like an asshole. Like, you can't.
You don't get to murder someone
yeah.
because you own a leather jacket. You didn't see, that's what a bad guy wears. You didn't see it? For fuck's sake.
So Tom Green has the Bum Bum song. He has his show, ported his show onto MTV. And exactly, his show is a talk show, but since it's a really fun thing where the reason talk shows exist is as a magazine show to promote movies and albums. And, maybe you have a comedian, it's a showcase show, essentially. It's like, it's a show made for auditions and promotion.
Yeah.
That's how it's worked. So that's the strength of the show. And when you don't have any of those things, you don't have any celebrities or anything, then Tom Green takes it to its next logical step, which is the star of the show is me, and I'm going to have funny guests and like basically flip what a talk show is on its head.
Yeah, you're not. What you're watching is you're spending a half an hour in my company, and I'm going to choose the things that I will entertain you with. The other advantage the MTV show had was he had all the backlog from Canada, which he straight up owned, so they could cherry pick the funniest things and put it on the MTV show. Because the Ottawa show, some of it's not that great. Others of it is a homeless man telling him I don't give a flying fuck and then breaking his microphone, and is possibly the funniest clip I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and he came up with some funny. I remember one where it was like he brings a tent into a restaurant and he starts smoking cigarettes in there, and they're like, "You can't smoke in the restaurant." He's like, "I'm not smoking in the restaurant. I'm smoking in my tent."
I mean, the fucking one where he just goes and where he just figures out how to use the intercom system at various department stores, and then just starts saying, "Mom, it's the greatest." Like that, you show that there was genuine creativity at work because he didn't fart into it, but you know that was proposed in some sort of writer's room.
Yeah, I mean,
Which I assume was his car.
It does make sense, though. It's like that. The internet is just people doing the Tom Green show. The funniest versions of the Tom Green show wouldn't even stand out now because it's just like everyone in the world has one genius moment, and then if they film it correctly, they get to go viral.
Yeah, and then what's crazy is he gets the MTV show, then he gets testicular cancer. Yeah. And then there's also Freddie Got Fingered, and then he's also married to Drew Barrymore.
Oh yeah, you're skipping a bunch of stuff, but testicular cancer. Oh yeah, so and then he records the surgery, right?
He records the surgery for the MTV special. Tom Green has cancer, and shows the scene that he just makes his parents watch the footage. It's very uncomfortable.
That's good. Is it like a try not to come thing?
Pardon me?
It's a try not to come thing.
I think that's what I can't remember. I've only saw that once. I never bought his book, but wanted to. And then, he kind of comes back to MTV he then does a chat show. But what's weird is everyone knows him as this crazy guy. So then people keep trying to do crazy ass shit on his show, and he gets upset, up to and including the guy from the band Jackal tries to destroy his set with a chainsaw, and he gets legitimately pissed off. He also is the only guy to storm out of a Jiminy Glick interview because Jiminy Glick kept making fun of his testicular cancer, and Tom Green is, if anything, a man from Ottawa, and there's certain things you just don't make fun of.
Yeah, but I mean, when you are the fucking crazy guy, and then at some point he decided, I don't want to do that anymore.
It's sort of not
change your name. You have to be like Thomas Green now.
You just have to go away for a while. That's the thing, and that's what he kind of learned, which is he sort of does a slow fade out. He does movies. Have you seen Freddie Got Fingered?
No.
It's bad. People are like trying to rehab it, and it's like, oh, it's really good. It's like an art movie. It's not. It's just a bad movie.
It's like The Jerk. You ever seen The Jerk by Steve Martin?
The Jerk's almost a good movie.
No, The Jerk, I saw it too late in life, I guess, but it's bad. Pretty clearly bad. And everyone's like, oh, I saw it in grade 7. I'm like, yeah, that's when you should see this.
Oh, yeah. Like The Jerk is a much better movie to remember than to watch now. Like, because it's also like a bunch of its jokes have just been straight up stolen.
Well, and also like, yeah, that's the other thing. People just steal jokes. And like, I watched Dirty Work again. I showed it to somebody, and there was like so many gay jokes in it. And I'm like, well, you're not going to like this. And they're like, I didn't. I'm like, well, yeah. You didn't see it in grade 7. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like I watched Dirty Work in COVID, and there's like a bunch of scenes where I'm like, this, you didn't, like, they could have, and I was like, stop judging Dirty Work, man. This was great when you were 12. Just dig it. Like, yeah.
You bought it on VHS from a fucking flea market and had the greatest time of your life.
Fuck yeah. There was this weird thing at the local Loblaws at the Carlingwood Mall. It had one shelf with movies, and whatever those movies were, they were $10. I don't know what was going on with the distributor, but sometimes it was Batman Forever. Sometimes it was Dirty Work. I'm fucking 14. I got $10. I have literally, that's all I got. I got $10 and now I'm walking home because most of this was supposed to be bus fare.
But Tom Green was the other thing, was he has the Tom Green show. He seems like he gets kind of chewed up and spat out because he does date Drew Barrymore, but it's part of like, it's so funny when it's like you take a guy, Tom Green, who was an organically made celebrity. Like a lot of the shit Tom Green did was like, even down to the fact like he was in a rap group before that was like
Organized crime.
popular at all. He has a talk show that's genuinely brilliant and genuinely comes up with stuff that is now like a staple, like fucking with your parents. Bam Margera just stole it and made it a whole TV show of him fucking with his dad. But that was just like one aspect of the show. And then him just being like a crazy kid and him being nuts and exactly like doing pranks like that. Like even like look at shit Tom Green did. It's like there's aspects of it that's still in like Nathan For You and stuff like this, right? Like of just like you're crazy and you're fucking with people and then filming their reactions.
But he's also, the thing with Tom Green is not matching their crazy. The people that are dynamic, crazy, and exciting, this is very much Nathan For You, is everyone else. In that, like, he's a weird guy around crazy people, is what Tom Green is kind of going for. Oh, no, like, his influence is so much larger. What also happens is a lot of mainstream Hollywood show business starts intersecting with his style, and that clearly what they're doing is they're going, do you here? And, like, he's used kind of well in, like, European Road Trip or Euro Trip, where he's the narrator. That's very good. You know what I'm saying? Like, where it's like you can cut to him, but like it's still a persona. It's why Freddy Got Fingered doesn't work. And it's like, can you do the show as a movie but it's all pre-prepared? And so there's just crazy shock value. Like he jerks off a horse, and it's just there's no reason.
Well, it's like you seen the Eric Andre movie? Fuck, I forget what it's called. It's on Netflix. Anyway, it's like a different version of Borat where Eric Andre in character, they just play pranks on people, but like they have him and Little Reverend Howery doing scenes, but then end up being pranks. So it's like they're doing the dialogue, but also playing pranks on people. It's really good. And that's how like it should have been. Was that like Tom Green, the whole essence of it is like Tom Green is playing pranks on people. And, you know, that's the whole fun thing about the talk show of like tucking in the shit is that every talk show audience is just a bunch of people on vacation who got free tickets who don't really know what they're there to see. That's why you see like really good comedians bomb sometimes and why everyone's material on those talk shows has to be like super fucking like you gotta touch all four corners of every country. Like it can't be too liberal, can't be too right wing, has to be like right in the middle and unique. Like it's a very difficult thing to do. And then Tom Green's like, wow, it'd be really difficult to try and please all these people. I'm going to take a shit and tuck it into bed to gross them out. Like I know everyone will be united in being weirded out by that. So it's kind of weirdly like still a uniting thing as if like you made a really good piece of comedy or music or whatever that made everyone happy, but they are all united in that's disgusting. Why did I show up to this?
Yeah. It's an interesting sort of reaction. And then what was carried forward is because it was successful there, show business then wanted him to do that in other ways. In that they're like, do your show, but do it as a movie and you have a dad. And you're like, well, I can't do that. And it's like, man, I need a bunch of fucking 11-year-olds to say, Daddy, would you like some sausage for like 8 years? So you got to figure out a way to work that in, baby. Work it in.
Yeah. He, exactly. Like during the Tom Green show's hiatus, because he has cancer, Jackass debuts, and it's like basically, hey, we're gonna do what you did, but with guys who are more attractive and cool.
Yeah, it's very funny because Jackass's basic story is like these producers who work specifically at MTV tested, and this sort of content does well. Like, what drives me crazy about the Jackass guys is Steve-O has done a very good job of transitioning into being Larry King in a trailer, but Johnny Knoxville does sort of position himself like, you know, we were rebel, edgy guys, and it's like, no, you guys are the Friends equivalent of the Limp Bizkit generation, in that Friends was put together by producers to be a better version of Seinfeld, and Jackass was producers putting together the Tom Green show. Like, it's like,
what if everyone was hotter?
Everyone was hotter. Like Johnny Knoxville and Tom Green. Like Tom Green has some beef with Johnny Knoxville apparently, and Johnny Knoxville is apparently kind of shitty about it. And I'd be like, if I'm Tom Green, I'm going to be like, yeah, hey, like, I'll be all right with you, but like, you need to acknowledge, like, you're standing on my shoulders, motherfucker. And I get Johnny Knoxville strikes me as the kind of guy that would be like, hey, it was my idea. I invented the camera.
Well, it's also they just kind of took what CKY did too, the CKY videos.
Yeah, it was 3 different. It was Johnny, because the thing to remember about Johnny Knoxville is Johnny Knoxville is a journalist for a magazine called, it was a skateboard magazine, and how he got famous was he did, pardon me?
Piss.
It was called Piss Magazine, that's correct. And he did a article testing various security equipment, and one of the articles is he shoots himself with a gun with a bulletproof vest. And like, bear in mind what the world and the internet was before is that they wrote that article, and the reason why he got famous is they assumed he faked it, and he was like, no, I filmed it. And then they filmed and had the video, and so you could mail in, you could write in and get the video of him actually shooting himself while wearing a bulletproof vest, and that's where he came from. Oh, it's bugging me. What's that magazine called?
It really does stink that the entertainment being free just made everything like if you pay $6 for that shit, you're gonna read every article and give something a chance you wouldn't have before. But now that everything's free, it's just you're gonna watch what you like already, you know? Anyway.
The magazine was called Big Brother, and I completely agree with you. The other thing with now, because the internet's so pervasive, it's that weird thing of everything is done on the cheap because, like, we don't have lights. You're supposed to film it on your phone, but we've done that weird thing of, like, actually you need to use high-quality cameras so the algorithm reads it more, but it needs to look like it was done on your phone. You're just the best at using your phone. It's like this weird mix of, like, Tom Green show was shot low rent because he was a guy at a cable access show, and it's turned into that thing of, like, make sure that you spend a lot of money to make things look as low rent as possible.
Yeah, it's all disjointed, but then also, like, sometimes things are just good. I mean, there's no substitute for having a really good idea, and Tom Green had really good ideas. Let's talk about his relationship with Drew Barrymore, because I think it's just like the first. Drew Barrymore's family has been famous since cameras, and Tom Green was a guy from Canada who, like, you know, fucking smoked in a tent and pissed people off to get famous, like, super quickly. So that's such an interesting thing to me about, like, by 2004 he has a autobiography.
By 2004 he has an autobiography, and he's done in the business. It's literally like by 2004 it's like him and Drew Barrymore broke up. He also, like, I have a weird conspiracy theory, and then I think Lorne Michaels was also like, I don't like this fucking kid coming into comedy, in the same way that Lorne Michaels supposedly had a meeting with Mark Maron just to be like, I don't know what you're doing above 112, below 100 or below 12th Street, but that's not fucking comedy. In the way that Tom Green appeared when Drew Barrymore hosted SNL. Are you giving me the finger, man? Subtle. And he wore a gas mask because it was the week of the anthrax attacks and the month of 9/11, and everyone was like, that's in the worst taste ever. And I guarantee he, like, probably didn't even pitch it or was pitched by SNL. He was positioned to look like he used to be a fun goof, and now he's a meanie.
Well, yeah, he just kept on doing the shit he was doing before, but, like, you can't, if you're antagonistic, you just keep on being antagonistic. You don't stop because things are serious now. Like, you can't not be antagonistic after something serious happens, and then, like, you know, like, spray painting your middle class dad's car with lesbians eating each other out is actually, I would say, has more stakes than showing up with that gas mask, because that actually really affects somebody.
Yeah, it's also, you're in Gloucester, Ottawa, Ontario. Do you understand the amount of men who think raking is the only way is more important than fucking their wife?
But that's the most important part, and that's why Borat, Ali G, and stuff, it works once, and then it's more difficult because it's like you have to find new areas like the suburbs in Canada where everyone is a straight person. I don't mean like sexually. I mean like everyone is fucking. I forget if it Lou Abbott. Everyone's like, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, you also have to understand that Ottawa is the greatest place for that, because Ottawa is a giant town of your mom's friend Brenda. Like, just like, and then they were playing, someone called me at 8 p.m. last night. That's when you're watching television. Like,
that's the whole story. It's just someone called me at 8 p.m.
Like, oh my God. It's the fucking it's what's also crazy is all of my friends who were in, like, that were edgy I work at an art gallery dudes are now just their dads. It's the best. Like
no, cut off is hard 25. I'm 25. Time to fucking tuck a t-shirt into some fucking jeans.
You've nailed that. 25 was one of the weirdest summers of my life. The amount of different groups of friends of mine that sat me down and was like, "You're a loser. It's time to be a man." It was so like the amount of people that were like, "We're 25 now. It's time to put childish things away and marry one person that you already resent." And I was just like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, exactly. But that's the interesting thing about Drew Barrymore was very clearly like she had her substance problems, but she's still in the Hollywood system, and it was very clearly like they were creating like Drew Barrymore's the kooky girl, and then she was in a new movie with Adam Sandler every 3 months, and Tom Green did help that out a lot. Like, because it was like she's with the kooky guy, she's the kooky girl. The kooky girl is done with this guy now.
I'm going to say one thing about Drew Barrymore. Fun fact about John Hastings. Big time teenage crush on Drew Barrymore.
Really? That's so nice.
Yeah. I'm just always like, she seems like a fun gal to hold hands with and go to the Britannia Cineplex.
That's nice. I only like Latin women.
Yeah, that is true. What's weird is your wife not Latin, and you remind her of that.
Why aren't you Latin?
Yeah, you're lucky I don't speak Spanish, is what you keep texting her.
One of the most frustrating things I see, I think your phone can read how bald you are, and now it's just spitting me out videos of people my age being like, things were tougher back. No, they weren't. Things were way easier. Kids are committing suicide at an alarming rate. Social media makes people depressed. And the most any millennial or Gen X guy on their fucking vlog has to say is like, kids can fucking just watch Netflix while they're shit. I used to have a CD player.
What's also, you're 100% correct. What's also amazing is the amount of people the extension of this is also the dudes when you have personal conversations where they're like, I had to struggle. I struggled, and I am like, I was there. You can't, like, stop lying to me. I was a witness. There was no struggle. What are you talking about?
I was bullied in the 90s. You know what happened when school ended? I got home. I didn't keep getting bullied through a machine I look at.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, there wasn't
a bunch call my house and they're like, can you put Dylan on? And I'm like, Mom, it's like, all right. You're a fat-tittied loser, Dylan. And I'd be like, oh, I have to answer the phone. Click.
Here's what someone pointed out on Instagram. You know, one of those classic clips that someone went, if they had in private Instagram stories in high school, I would have burned the high school down out of paranoia. And I was like, I didn't even consider, that's a new fear that I didn't even realize, where I was like, oh my God, imagine that. Like, yeah,
things much worse now. We just live like it was like we used to live in a place where like TV was nice, and then you got to stop watching TV. And you bought a CD and it was $20, but you just decided you liked it. You know how many people have stories where it's like, this is the most thing I hear about Captain Beefheart. They bought an album and they were like, I did spend $15 on this, and they just listened to it 4 times and they're like, this is my favorite band of all time. You know how many stories like that exist? Anyway.
Specifically,
that's what I'm saying is things were way better when we were kids, and it was way easier. And if you were like, the fact that like a ton of kids look like the younger version of this body now is so sad. I used to stick out like a sore thumb because I was like what you would call now like technically obese, and now there's kids who are like extremely very obese.
What's also the thing is also I'm also not looking forward to the amount of fucking, and if I have kids, I'm going to be one of these people, the amount of old dads just really working through stuff. You know what I mean? Oh my God. Like, we have only just begun, all of the men of our generation getting really into Eastern mysticism. Like, Dylan, you have one kid, soon you will have 2. I give it 5 years before you're like, you will not be this, but you will have 4 friends that have long hair and are bald.
I really hope so, man. I really want. The thing is, I live in 2 worlds where half my friends are stand-up comedians and half my friends are normies in the suburbs. And I did see at a party a guy, his kid was hitting a like a boxing bag with a baseball bat, and he was like, "Hey, use your head. There's a baby near you." and work on that uppercut, buddy. We're not chopping down on the ball. We're hitting dingers, okay? And it was like, got the baby out of the way, and batting practice started, John. Anyway.
Yeah, there is you can really tell. I can already spot it, and it's like, oh yeah, your dad was not around, and that kid has a level of helicopter dad that is going to be much more harmful than if the father had been there for you. Like, just, I was walking by, this kid had to be 18 months old, and he walked by a baseball diamond and went basketball, and the dad went, that's right, but it's a baseball diamond. And I was like, bro, that, like, I understand that you've had a long day, but that kid is not retaining that. Like, just fucking, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, no, you can't just say things, because then the kid will say that, and then it'll get bullied. Wow, John, I can't wait for you to have kids. You're gonna never leave its side. You're gonna hold the child all day.
I'm going a different way. I'm just gonna hand it a gun at 18 months old. I better see some game.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, no, I will totally not leave the kid's side. That's absolutely fine. But it's just like, brother, like, just fucking, it was the tone of the correction where it was just like, this fucking idiot. And it's just like, you're like, I got news for you. That kid is going to be a real shithead to you when it's in 20, because it'll be like, now it's time to get back at him because all the times he corrected me.
I mean, I am jealous of baby boomers. Like, when I was born, my father missed the first half of the labor because he was getting drunk, so he could walk. He wanted to get drunk enough that he could see me come out. He was like, I don't want it to be gross, so he just drank like a 26er, and then came and then was like, Dad, let me get in there. How you fucking do this? You fucking, which one of you's a chick? Anyway, bring in some fucking chick doctors with better tits. That's my request. This is free healthcare. It's fucking there. Like, that was my birth. Anyway, John, Tom Green has an autobiography. Then he starts the new Tom Green show. You're absolutely right. It looks like the old Tom Green show, except Tom Green is
trying to be a dad. It's very funny. It's literally the first MTV Tom Green show is Tom Green's in his 20s, living footloose, fancy free. New Tom Green show.
What's all right, first question. Who has Tums?
Yeah. All right.
And then, like, the studio audience, it seems like it's like 8 guys, and Tom Green's kind of pissed that he's there. Like, I thought that, well, I guess it was on Access TV, but I thought it was like,
no,
someone made him, he filmed it, and then it went on Access.
You're thinking of two different things. You're thinking of his later stage podcast. There's the new Tom Green. The problem is he called way too many things the Tom Green show. MTV new Tom Green show airs for like 3 months, is super bad because he's like barely recovered from cancer trying to do a normal talk show. He then goes over onto the internet and does Tom Green Live, and then what we would have seen as the new Tom Green show, which was also called Tom Green's House Tonight on Access TV and comedy. No, then Access TV was another thing again, but he does all these different versions of, like, basically Tom Green's Charlie Rose, but he actually somewhat thinks women aren't property. Tom Green is Jay Leno, but it's not that great. Like, Tom Green, according to Joe Rogan, Tom Green and Anthony Cumia are the reason we have the Joe Rogan experience, because he built a internet TV studio in his living room and could press 3 buttons and be online with a studio quality television show. And he did that from 2006 to 2011. And it's like some of the best stuff ever. If you want to die laughing forever, Harlan Williams doing Raspberry Eyes is one of the nuttiest, most insane things I've ever seen. It's so your Raspberry Eyes. Oh, it's so fucking good.
Yeah, but it's like exactly that. Like, Norm Macdonald does that in his life, where it's like just the Norm Macdonald show. Exactly thing. Like, has a standing studio, presses 3 buttons, then he's being recorded, and he's the first guy to be like, I'm rich. I'm going to put a bunch of money into this studio and have a standing studio. And exactly what you're saying. It's truly the Joe Rogan experience, but like, there's nothing to like bite into as far as like Joe Rogan has like so many things that make him middle-aged and appeal to middle-aged men.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the more you learn about Tom Green online, not as appealing. Like, he's really into composing now. He's like Tom Green and Joe Rogan are very interesting, which is Tom Green is an old dad. Tom Green is not a dad. You know what I mean? And they have a bunch of money, and you just see like, oh, He's an old dad, so he's really into hunting, and he's into a type of health that seems like it's out to offend you. And Tom Green has no kids, so he has 4 different electric keyboards that were made by Korg, and he bought a farm outside of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada in the pandemic for really no reason.
Well, yeah, because Tom Green's not trying to like sell you anything. Joe Rogan's selling you stuff. Like Joe Rogan is like, oh, I have the here's some 9 things. Joe Rogan's. It's so funny that he hated the Liver King because it's like he using the Liver King model where it's like, hey, I have a sensory deprivation tank. I do martial arts. I do all these things, but you don't have the time I have. So try on it. Like that's the Liver King model. Or that's the Joe Rogan model that the Liver King used and used just a sillier version of to get more attention versus Tom Green. You know, I don't know. I never watched Tom Green live or whatever, but if he had sponsors, it wasn't like, oh, I have all these dope-ass keyboards, but you can't afford it, so why don't you get this fucking keytar, you know?
Yeah, like it was, the sponsors were like your classic, like Man Great, Stamps.com, or just no sponsors. Like it was just also this like weird thing of like, also, what was amazing about that is none of the guests knew what was going on because it was a stage of the internet where it was just, they were too old to, like, I guarantee some of them didn't have fucking email. It was great. It eventually shut down in 2011. And then Tom Green kind of entered this very interesting phase of like doing stand-up, kind of being half famous for being just who Tom Green was. As like podcasts come up, every new wave would offer Tom Green a podcast for a minute because he has still he's so weirdly associated with alt media and stupid podcast. Like he was podcasting before there were podcasts. He was, you know, like essentially he's predicted every type of media. So like when fucking Kevin Smith launched his podcast network, Tom Green got a podcast. When Mark Cuban launched Access, you got Tom Green Live, where he just sat in front of a screen and was like a weird version of Charlie Rose. When he did his own podcast for a little bit, he then like has been doing stand-up comedy, which is originally how he started way back when, which was the man who will be paying me when I'm filming my special June 21st, 22nd, 28th, 29 in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Howard Wagman said to Tom Green, I don't care if your band is doing well. You better be here for your feature spot for Lawrence Morgenstern on Friday, or you can't work this club. And Tom Green was like, well, I'm going to go be in a rap group that's successful, because he was in a one-hit wonder rap group and then didn't work Yuck Yucks for years and years and years.
And now has standing spot where he can bring his dog.
Yeah, now he has a standing spot because he lives outside of Ottawa now. Because Ottawa, weirdly, this sort of I asked my mom about this, and she was like, no, you either stayed or you left and never came back to Ottawa. Because she returned to Ottawa, and she's like, it was very strange that like I came back. But now what's happening more and more is people are like living somewhere else for 30 years and then returning to Ottawa because it's just like, oh, it was the same as when I was a kid. And it's like, yep. And for some people, that's soothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's affordable land outside Ottawa, but Tom Green, I'd say the thing that marks him is like there's just like a lack in energy. Like he was like when he was a kid, he was like yeah, like we said, and then now he's just like, oh fuck, why the fuck did I do that? But I mean, he did have cancer, and then Drew Barrymore totally cucked him. Probably, I would love to know how they broke up. Do you know how they broke up?
Because it was weird. I don't know if you saw. He went on her her fucking talk show is demented. I'm a man.
Oh yeah, did he go on her new talk show?
He did. He went on it. Also,
I would imagine Drew Barry. He showed up, and Drew Barry was like, "We need to see other people." And then Tom Green just looked under it, and it was her assistant. Wait a minute, what? And she's like, "Oh, Drew doesn't have the time to actually do this, but you are no longer seeing Drew."
Yeah,
and then just like made 3 phone calls about like Drew needs a latte that's also not a latte.
I feel like the conversation did go along the lines of like, well, this phase of of our relationship is over. Like, that's what it really felt like.
I'm in Sandler movies, so this has reached its natural end.
Yeah. Because of my association with you, I was able to add edginess to Adam Sandler, so he was able to continue movies. Now I'll be in his romantic comedies, and eventually I will get a talk show where I get to show people the sides of my bare feet. Why is that?
So what is Drew Barrymore?
So Drew Barrymore, he was a surprise in the middle of COVID on the show. She was sat cross-legged wearing no shoes. He had his dog in his lap, and they just talked awkwardly about happy moments they had in their relationship and then nodded quietly. I guarantee, like, their end of their
Those
relationship.
people's minds are broken. Like, there's no way those people's minds aren't just mush to shit.
Here's the thing. I've had some pretty intense breakups. Here's the reading of that is one of them said something to the other person. One of those you can only say during a breakup, like, well, don't say that level of truth because that's going to make sure that one of these people always feels bad and the other one always justifiably is not that pleased with you. And that's what it felt like. Is it felt like Drew turned to him at one point and just went, "You got a little dick and no one likes your show, especially me." You know,
you're
like
washed up. I am this industry.
Exactly. Do you know who John Barrymore is? Because I don't.
People jacking off to me since I was 12, you little shit.
Yeah. I did Playboy, and I showed it to Steven Spielberg, who's known me since I was a kid, and he said, "This is weird," and I said, "Why?"
Oh, yeah? You tucked your shit in? I've been groomed since I was 3, okay?
Oh, I guarantee Drew Barrymore's reaction to the Me Too movement resulted in 4 different assistants being murdered. Like, I guarantee she was like, "Yeah, that's how it fucking works in this business. Do you understand that I had sex with Jack Warner's corpse?"
That's why a lot of like some like these child celebrities, man, they're all so where it's like every child celebrity has a talk show, and their talk show is just them listening to the sounds of the ocean I use to get my kid to sleep and just staring straight forward. Like, this is the what the fuck? This is the Edward Furlong show, and it's just him going like,
"Oh,
the memories, the memories." And Tom Green did that to himself.
Yeah. What's also interesting is Tom Green did this sort of rejection of show business where it's like he never was in show business. He was always a periphery figure that had an audience, and now it's taken him this long to just sort of realize of like, just, use it for when you want. And he's like, I'll do stand-up occasionally an hour from my house, and I might do a tour every once in a while, but I'm cool. And I kind of love that. Like, he's just
he'd be more traditionally by metrics successful, I think, if he had just come up in this age where he would have just went super viral, been really popular for a hot second, and then been able to like monetize it through constant videos where he's like on the farm holding a chocolate bar that gives you cancer slowly.
What's also amazing about Tom Green, and this is, by the way, a man who appeared in Ottawa to launch a bag line of bags that him and Monica Lewinsky stole from the duvet of his parents. Never a political guy. You have no idea what his politics are. I wouldn't be surprised, quietly far more right-wing than you're really ready for. Like one of those ones, my favorite type, which is just like, you know, very liberal guy, except for then he just says immigrants, and he'll say something like, "Well, we can't lose our Canadian culture." And you're just like, no, Dad's had 2 Coors Lights.
Well, it's all, I'm liberal. I'm very liberal socially, but fiscally, I'm keeping my fucking money. Your roads, you can build them yourself, you fucking hippies.
Yeah. You want to know why I live on a farm? Because the tax man can't find me.
John, thank you so much for talking to me. Next week, we're going to do the Morgan Wallen episode I promised everyone last week, but since our audience is essentially the same 400 people that always listen, they don't give a shit. They're just happy to hear us talk, and we're happy to talk to you.
Yeah, we're happy that they're there, and we're happy you're here. And what I'm happy about is you guys. Okay?
Yeah.
I got up at 5:30 this morning, and it just hit me. You ever have that? I'm really pushing toward.
It really hits different.
It does. You get to the middle of the morning, and you're like, "What is this? The afternoon? 10 a.m. What in the name of Christ?"
Yeah, that's having. I'll be there in 2 months, where you're like, it's 9 a.m. I've been up for 6 days.
Yeah. Oh. Dylan, because Dylan is one of those guys where he will continue to function with no sleep, but he wears it. You can see it in his eyes.
I can't keep it to myself. I'm totally that. Like, I'm tired. People are like, why are you telling me this? Though,
because you know where you stand. Like, you're just like, okay, he's a level of exhausted that legally means he's allowed to do crime like that. And I much prefer someone being like, look, I was holding the shit of a baby this morning. I just don't know what's going on. Can you handle this? I prefer that much more to the classic way, which is just, I'm not going to acknowledge any of the things that are happening to me, but I'm going to be very angry.
If I will say this, if no one ever judged me for it, I would gladly clean up shit for the rest of my life. Like every shit that my kids take, if I got to sign a contract and it's like, you're never going to have to get up before 9:30 a.m. ever again. I'd be like,
Yeah,
all right, so
I completely. Yeah, I'll sign that. I mean, I have
shit,
touched
whatever.
very few shits. Right. I'm taking that deal. Oh yeah. No. And 9:30 is a great time. By the way, 9:30 wake up, 10 o'clock start work. I got a half an hour grace period. And then by the way, that's 1 hour later on weekends.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was the janitor thing where it's like, oh, what? 5 a.m. and make coffee, or get up or be at work for 3 p.m. and clean up shit. And that's shit, baby. Fucking, I don't care how much you want to clean up shit. Like, if you're fine with cleaning up shit, if they should ask you in grade 9, like, do you think it's gross to like clean up shit? And then you're alone, so like peer pressure doesn't get to you because obviously you're gonna say yes if other people are around.
Yeah.
But if you're alone in the room, you're like, I don't mind cleaning up shit. They're like, sick, you pass high school. You're a custodian now. Here's righty tighty, lefty loosey. That's all you need to know. Enjoy your weed or cigarettes. Pick one, baby.
Yeah.
Get in that
Also,
shed.
this is the thing they also need to say to anyone going into any sort of trade. Look, first 5 years is going to be annoying because you got to get up early and all your friends are working like bar jobs and get to have fun. You will be 25 and making six figures, and then who gives a fuck, bro? Who gives? Oh, by the way, also, so many people in your industry are fuck ups. You will be promoted by just not being a high level criminal. Feel free to do some low level crimes.
Have 3 beers a day instead of 8. Congratulations, you're a millionaire.
Yeah. You're the literal. You are top of this industry. You're the. They talk about you in legend. He only has,
you have so much money.
You're telling me after the Christmas party he wasn't doing a bunch of coke off the hood of a Honda Civic? Nothing will make me more happier than seeing two construction workers in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, down by the Esplanade. They were in their full high vis. They got out. I was the car directly in front of them waiting for someone to come out of their condo, and I just saw someone, and I saw someone tap like a very specific hand motion to get the powder out of a bag that I saw through my rear view, and I went, no way. Racked up 2 lines, one for him, one for the other guy. Let's start digging a ditch. Great.
Well, this is the thing I think about construction when you realize why they make so much money. It's like, not only is it hard on your body, but you're actually getting more of the customer service when someone's specific about their latte. Those people who are specific about their latte, they want you to build their basement, and if you fuck something up, and it has to be fast and you can't fuck it up, otherwise they're fucking so pissed.
Oh, and they don't know what a fuck up is, by the way.
Yeah, they don't.
If they just misunderstood something you've said, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, also, yeah, they don't know. They have no experience doing the thing, but they still know what they want. How come it's not a floating shelf? Well, if shelves can't literally float. They still have to be like part of the wall. That's not what I paid for.
It's also they're applying what they're good at to what you're doing. I got news for you. I'm a plastic surgeon. I made Brenda O'Shanahan's titties float. Make it a floating shelf. You know what I mean? Like one of those guys?
Oh yeah, baby. Anyway, but then the fucking, what is it called? Anyway. Nothing. I sorted through like 3 things that I've heard people say and then decided to say none of them.
I appreciate that.
That's
Dylan,
what the new media is, because the woke mob won't let you say things. Also, I posted something that has nothing, a non sequitur, about how the woke mob's trying to control our minds, and people are clearly liking it on, guess which site? Facebook, with no context for what the video is. Just a story about me farting at a kid's birthday party, but I just put the woke mob's trying to control our minds, and it's a bunch of people being like, this guy knows what he's talking about. I want you to not watch this video.
I also want you to know that I remember that story and you just told me in real time, and it is the best.
Not the first time, won't be the last. I have another joke about farting in an elevator, and a guy walked in, and then my kid said, that was my dad. He lives to fart. And it's like fucking 4 floors with this guy.
I say this right now. I've always loved and respected you. I wasn't sure if I was going to love and respect your son. Now, I love and respect him more than you because of that. And I want you to know this. That's for the rest of his life. In that one action, what does he need? Does he need someone to take a bullet for him? Because any man who is, and he is now a man, by the way. I don't care what his age is. He is a man. Yeah. A stranger walks into an elevator. His first and only thought is, I better put this smell on my dad, and I better do it in a way that makes sure this guy is just thinking about my dad, and I'm no longer here. And that's what your son did, like a fucking king.
Yeah, that's CEO stuff. That was
CEO,
him.
fuck you.
He's also learned the walking up to a guy and saying he's a girl thing. Hey, ma'am.
Good to see he
and
truly
then the guy's
is
like, I'm a boy. And then he's like, you're a girl. And I was like, that's good. That'll take you so far in life.
First of all, that shows that he has looked around his environment and gone, I know how to be the alpha here.
I am a natural bully. I was bred. I was born to bully. I was bred to bully. Anyway, guys, hey, Gucci Gang, due to poor organizational skills, me and John talk about how our next episode is Morgan Wallen for a bit. Our next episode is, of course, not Morgan Wallen. It is MSN Messenger. That'll be next week. So please enjoy about 5 minutes of us talking about how our Morgan Wallen episode is going to be good. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. We will be talking about who, I guess, if judging by my son's actions, is his real father, Morgan Wallen, next week. I know nothing about this man except for he got angry that his ex, who he broke up with, got married, and he threw shit off a balcony, and he said the N-word. So judging by those two things, by the way, he's obviously a white guy. His name's fucking Morgan. Judging by those two things, we're about to talk about a guy who people say is like Johnny Cash because they don't know who Johnny Cash is.
I gotta just say this. I disagree. Whenever people are like, can you believe these country stars are crazy? I always go like, guys, you don't know. You just clearly weren't into country in the 70s. George Jones did so much cocaine, he thought he was Donald Duck for a whole tour. He did so much cocaine. He went home, was like, hey, honey, I'm Donald Duck. I'm home. And his wife was like, look, we need money from this tour. He's Donald Duck. I don't give a shit. Like,
and I want to do a whole episode just on how people in the 70s, like, bear in mind, our parents, their whole generation thought cocaine was just good. There was no negative. Yeah, it's just fun. And then there's no negative part of it. Like
a biker told me it's not addictive. You want me to not trust a biker?
He did some fucking security for the Rolling Stones. I think he's a fucking fine individual. Anyway, that's it. Morgan Wallen. Suck, fuck, shit, fuck.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.